this is Duke, and welcome to my completed Saskia the Unyielding deck tech video. If you haven't already seen my Saskia the Unyielding deck tech part 1, I would suggest you go do that. I will be showing you all of the cards in my Saskia deck, however I won't be going over all of them in as much detail as I did in the previous video. So if you want to, you can go check that out. If not, then let's get started. So I want to start with the mana base first. Mana in a 4-color deck can be very confusing, and you really don't want to get mana screwed, especially in a Saskia deck. First off, we have our utility lands. So first we have Keswick Wolfrun. You pay X, a red and a green, and target creature gets +X/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. It's a very good card. A lot of my guys don't have trample. This gives them trample, so very nice inclusion. Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion. 2, a red and a white, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Very nice. Slayer's Stronghold, another very nice card. Red and a white, target creature gains +2/+0 and gains vigilance and haste until end of turn. Really love haste on any card. Handwear Battlements, kind of similar to Slayer's Stronghold. It doesn't give the pump or the vigilance, but it does give the haste. So Temple of the False God, good land. Rogue's Passage, unblockable is always nice. Okina, Temple of the Grandfathers. I'm running this because I have a lot of legendary creatures, as you will see, and giving them a slight boost is always nice. Okay, now we're moving into the any colored lands. Opal Palace only gives me any color for my commander. However, it's very nice for the fact that Saskia herself is not a very large body, and so it gives her a little bit of a boost every time that she has to come back in onto the battlefield. With my experience, she usually enters 3 times. So if you give her +3/+3, she's a 6/7, so. Command Tower, EDH staple. Cavern of Souls. I'm usually naming either Praetor or Human. Exotic Orchard. Grand Coliseum. I don't normally like tapped lands, but it gives me any color. Karplusan Forest, one of the 2 pain lands. The other one is Caves of Koilos. I don't really like pain lands, but what I've noticed is that by the time I stabilize around turn 5 or I would say turn 5 or 6, I honestly don't even need to use the colored mana, so I usually just tap them for colorless. Stomping Ground, Blood Crypt, Godless Shrine, Sacred Foundry, Overgrown Tomb, Temple Garden. Now we have the 4 tri-lands that unfortunately do come into play tapped. I think they'd be pretty busted if they didn't. But I am running the 4 tri-lands that have these colors. The reason being that I can play them on turn 1 or 2 and not really lose tempo. Drawing one of these later on does feel really bad, though. I'd watch out for that. So Nomad Outpost, Jungle Shrine, Sandstep Citadel. Now on to the basics. I am running, I think, 13 basic lands. So I have 3 mountains, 3 forests, 4 plains. I have a lot of double and triple cost white, so, and 3 swamps. Is kind of our ramp / card advantage section. I emphasize ramp a lot in this deck because a lot of my creatures are, 4 to 8 casting cost. So it's really important to get early ramps so you can play those big spells early. If you're not casting, a 6-drop by turn 4 or 5, then I would consider you very behind in this deck. That's just kind of how this deck wants to operate, so just keep that in mind. So for the ramp package, we have Soul Ring, EDH staple, Farseek, Kodama's Reach, Cultivate, Chromatic Lantern, Sky Shroud Claim, very good card, Explosive Vegetation, Xenagos. I usually use him for the ramp on his +1. I very rarely will ever even try to get him to +6 though. I usually use him to either give me chump blockers if I'm behind, or to accelerate my mana. Solemn Simulacrum, kind of an EDH staple also. He serves a dual purpose of card advantage and searching my deck for lands, so I like that. Verdant Confluence. I talked about this card a little bit already in my previous video, but playtesting, I usually get 2 target permanents from my graveyard to my hand, his second ability, and I usually get at least 1 land. So now we're on to the draw power of this deck. I really like drawing cards. My favorite color is black, and in my opinion, black has some of the strongest draw power. Green is really getting up there in draw power though now, and so a lot of my cards are green for this. Red and white don't have draw, unfortunately, really. But yeah, so we have Hunter's Insight. This, I played it over the weekend, and it got me 15 cards once. It was pretty crazy. It's just an insane card sometimes. Momentous Fall, in case someone board wipes. I can sack a creature instead and draw some cards. Harmonize, draw 3 cards for 4 mana, always good. Promise of Power, really good to me. It's one of my favorite draw spells, and sometimes I can get a demon out of it. Alright, Indulgent Tormentor, and also Blood Gift Demon. Both draw me a card at the beginning of my upkeep, so they also are great for tempo because they are 5 mana, 5 powered flying demons. So, what's wrong with that? Wretched Confluence. Usually I'm drawing 2 cards and returning a creature from my graveyard to my hand. Rishkar's Expertise. I really like this card. It also lets me cast something from my hand. So basically what it's saying is, for 6 mana, draw roughly 5 cards, and play something from your hand. It's great. We do have a couple tutors in this deck. We have Worldly Tutor, Captain Sisse. If she gets haste, she can tap right away and look for a legendary card for me. Over the weekend, I think on average I got 2 to 3 activations out of her, which is very good. And we have Rune-Scarred Demon. Next is our removal. Removal is extremely important in this deck, because, especially spot removal, because you want to be hitting people in the face, and if they drop a Blightsteel Colossus, or they, have a Memnarch or something disgusting on their side of the field, you really need to get rid of it. So, first we have Condemn, Dreadbore, Beast Within, Anguished Unmaking. Abzan Charm most of the time is going to be hitting a creature. Utter End. I got a suggestion to cut this card because I already had Anguish Unmaking, but I love that art, so I'm sorry, guys. Sylvan Reclamation. And my one board wipe of the deck, Martial Coup. I did get some suggestions, and I looked into some of those cards. I may switch out Martial Coup for a different board wipe. However, I really do like that it gives me a little bit of tempo. And honestly, the only reason I'm even running a board wipe is because I have someone who plays goblins in my meta, and I have somebody who plays elves. So, my board presence is meant to be big. It's not meant to be wide. So I can get overrun by those 2 decks. So this kind of just lets me kind of reset the board state. And honestly, those 2 decks don't have card draw really. So they kind of dump their hand on the field. I play this, and they kind of just lose the game from there, honestly. So next up, we have the things that affect combat, equipments, and the big win me the game creatures. So first up are the equipments. Conqueror's Flail, really nice for putting the big beats. It is a 4-color deck, so it will give a creature +4/+4, and as long as it is attached to a creature, my opponents can't cast spells during my turn. Really nice. I hate blue. I mean, I shouldn't say I hate blue. I hate playing against blue. I don't mind playing a blue deck, and I usually don't run very many counter spells. I usually try to let the game be fun, but I inevitably run into somebody who's playing a deck with like 10 counter spells, a couple, bounce spells, or some weird ass broken combo where they are constantly bouncing Mystic Snake with Deadeye Navigator, and it's just not fun. So I really like cards like this. Swifty Boots, Sunforger to get my spot removal, Mage Slayer. It hits people really hard. So we're on to the cards that affect combat. So Triumph of the Hordes is kind of a win the game card. If you see that, I usually don't play this unless I see somebody at the table who's setting up for their infinite combo, or something like that, where they're just going to win the next turn. I usually try to be pretty fair with this card because I played this once over the weekend, and my friends kind of raged at me for playing it. It's just because Infect and Trample is such a potent combination that it can make some people very sour. So watch out for that if you're playing this card. Iros got a victory, giving my guys Menace and preventing combat damage, or all damage in fact, that would be dealt to them while they're attacking is great. He gets triggered a lot, so he will become a creature, usually. Xenagod, not so much. He usually doesn't become a creature, but I usually just use him because of his ability to give one of my creatures haste, and basically doubling their attack and defense is just great. Marshal's Anthem gives all my guys +1/+1. More importantly, if I kick it, I get to bring things from my graveyard directly back to the battlefield. If somebody board wipes, and I have, some big creature out like Vernaclex or Gisela, then Marshal's Anthem can just bring them right back. This is a new addition to the deck, Goto, Bandit, Warlord. So Goto was actually in the Brea deck that I just bought yesterday. And the fact that he gets to search up an equipment and put it onto the battlefield is great. Also, basically saying that I get 2 combat phases every turn whenever he attacks is also great. The only issue is that he doesn't get to untap everything. So basically Saskia, Elishnorn, and Aurelia can attack again. However, I think Aurelia also triggers on the same turn Goto would. So that doesn't really do much for me. And there is a card at the end of this video that I'm considering putting in just to combo with Goto. World at War just gives me another attack phase. So does Waves of Aggression. Just want to attack as much as possible. Irelia, Flying Vigilance Haste, also gives me another attack phase. Playing Irelia by herself will almost activate Iroas for me. True Conviction, giving everything double strike and lifelink. As you saw already, I'm running a lot of shock lands. A lot of my lands hurt me, and the lifelink honestly just comes in handy because, I'm also getting attacked and I'm hurting myself with the land, so lifelink always helps. Gisela doubles my damage and halves all damage incoming towards me. Bruce Tarl, another card that I just got from the Brea deck, which I was surprised was not in the Saskia deck. You pay 4 mana for a 3/3, but whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, target creature I control gains double strike and lifelink. He's almost a mini True Conviction, so I really like it. Gratuitous Violence, another damage amplifying card. I do not run Dictate of the Twin Gods. I know I can flash it. The problem is if I don't kill somebody right away with that card, I will die because whatever they have is going to deal double damage to me, and I don't have a way to get rid of my own enchantments really. So I kind of just run this one, and it's a good card. Grand Melee is a funny card. All creatures attack each turn if able. All creatures block each turn if able. Really throws off decks that are running a lot of mana dorks, and it also really throws off decks that are running that just kind of put chump blockers up, and they're kind of like waiting for you to attack, and then you cast Grand Melee, and their chump blockers have to attack. It's just really fun. Brutal Horde Chief. Just makes my opponent's creatures block, and I get to choose how that happens. Same thing with Odric. Odric is kind of a maybe right now in this deck because I don't often have at least 3 other creatures to activate his Tactician, or to activate his ability. And the reason is because this deck is meant to go big, it's not meant to go wide. I certainly can activate that ability, but it's just not all the time. Alright, so Boros Charm is in this deck to give my guys indestructible in case a board wipe happens. He also can give somebody double strike. Same thing with Dauntless Escort. He is a reasonable 3/3 for 3, and I can sack him to give my creatures indestructible. Sauron, another card that I'm kind of thinking I might cut. He's pretty underwhelming in this deck. He does give my guys +1/+0 and lifelink with his +1, which is why he's in this deck, honestly. The lifelink's always good, and just giving him that little boost is always nice. But honestly, his -2 is okay. Not really what this deck wants to do, but it's not bad. And his -6 is always nice. I mean, he is a threat. I do like him, but I don't know. Okay, so this is the start of my big creatures portion. I laugh because Thalia is the first one. So Thalia is a big creature for 3 mana, okay? She is, she comes out a turn before Saskia and can just completely devastate the board. Everyone that I play Magic with runs at least 10 non-basic lands, and that's if they are in a mono-colored deck. I mean, if they are running a 3-color deck, a 5-color deck, they can't. Every land they play comes untapped. I have a friend who just made a Sliver deck, and he hates this card. She's a 3-powered first striker, and creatures in non-basic lands my opponent's control come untapped. She just does so much work for the mana. Inferno Titan. Kind of a little bit of spot removal on a stick, really. I mean, he's 6 mana for a 6/6, which is already good. Whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, he deals 3 damage, divided as I choose, among any 1, 2, 3 target creatures or players. So, if he comes in and, they have something that has 3 toughness, maybe a general or something, or even if I just want to hit them in the face, I can hit them in the face. He gives himself, fire breathing, and, I hope that he has haste when he comes out and he can just start wrecking face. I really like Inferno Titan in this deck. The next card is Hydra Omnivore. He is a monster in this deck. 6 mana, 8/8, and he deals, whenever he deals combat damage to an opponent, he deals that much damage to each other opponent. Oh my gosh, if you have Saskia out and you swing at the person that Saskia has marked, he is dealing 16 damage to them. And dealing at least 8 to everyone else. So he is a very, very good card. Massacre Worm. Another really good card. This is really good against the elf and goblin decks that I run into. Sometimes, if they're running Grinko and they have 40 or 50 goblins out on the field, this will just kill them. However, I did have one game where they killed me with Burn at the Stake before Massacre Worm resolved. So that was not fun, but Massacre Worm, really good card. I am running some Dragon Lords. So first off is Dragon Lord of Tarka, flying in trample, and whenever she enters the battlefield, she deals 5 damage to any number of target creatures or players my opponent's control. So she's actually somewhat similar to Inferno Titan, except she has flying, and she can trample, and she's 8 power. She doesn't get to deal the damage again when she attacks, which is a bummer, but she's still a good card. Huge, beefy dragon. Dragon Lord Colgan. You know, he has flying, haste, and he gives my other creatures haste. His second ability does almost nothing for me. I don't really run into like Shadowborn Apostle decks. If I ever do, they will get screwed because of this card. But I run him because he's a 6 mana, 6/5 with haste, flying, and he gives my other guys haste. So, Dragon Lord Dramaka. This guy is really nice for this deck. He can't be countered, flying lifelink, and my opponents can't cast spells during my turn. You know, I also really liked Conqueror's Flail for the same reason. And so just having 2 cards that make it so that my opponents can't cast things during my turn, you know, I really like that. Oh boy, the Praetors. Bum bum bum. I had a hard time finding these guys. They are in high demand, but I am running all 4 of the Praetors that I can run in this deck. So first is Urbrask the Hidden. Creatures I control have haste, and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. You know what? If Thalia didn't get onto the battlefield, Urbrask does very similar things to her. Elesh Norn, Grand Cenobite. Another card that deals with goblins and elves and also gives my guys a huge boost. She is a devastatingly good card. If you're running white, you should run her. Shieldred. I don't have a lot of recursion in my deck, but she does recur my guys, and she is a huge threat. People will usually target Shieldred over pretty much any of my other creatures. I think they just really hate sacrificing things, so as would I. And the Big Daddy himself, Vornaclex, Voice of Hunger. This guy, if I play this guy, I am instantly targeted by 3 other people at the table. He's an 8 mana 7/6 with trample, gives me double mana, and whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, that land does not untap during their next untap step. So, yeah, this is another card that will just devastate people. And if he stays on the board, he pretty much will win the game. I have gotten this guy out on turn 5 once because I ramped so hard early, and I was just able to drop him. Nobody had an answer, and nobody could kill him, and 2 turns later I won the game. He is a very, very crazy card. He's very expensive. So is Elesh Norn. They're both over $20, so there are some budget options, and I might do a video on that later on. But this has been my Saskia the Unyielding EDH deck tech, guys. If you liked the video, then please leave a comment down below. Also like and subscribe. I am a new channel, so you know, anything helps. I am trying to get more active on YouTube. I am a college student, but I would like to post at least 2 videos a week. And also, I am currently thinking about adding Heliod to this deck for synergies with Goto to give everything vigilance. Also, you know, if there's any cards that you guys think should be in this deck, feel free to comment, you know, and tell me. I know that no deck is perfect. I'm enjoying playing with this deck. And, you know, if there's anything that you guys think will help me with this deck, you know, don't feel shy, comment below. Yeah, so my next deck tech video will probably be Brea. I did just get her yesterday. I'm kind of piecing together her. I really do like artifact themed decks, so that'll be my next video most likely. But yeah, if you guys have suggestions for decks, then you know, put that in the comment section below. And I will see you guys later.